when I'd be like, oh, I haven't met the love of my life yet. And I'd be like, I haven't left the house for a year and a half. I'm waiting for him to break into my home.
Yeah.
So like, are you waiting?
Highly unlikely.
Waiting for the love of my life to literally burglarize my home.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is like, if you're waiting for like friendship or community or like that opportunity to like appear in your lap, I'm so sorry. It's not going to. We have to be vulnerable. We have to put ourselves out there. Welcome back to another episode of Sessions for the Soul.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone. We're excited about this episode today. It's like a combo of, some personal insights, some personal desires, but also I think just touching on a lot of things that our listeners or just like people in general are really experiencing, which is a desire for community.
Absolutely. I think like something I'm hearing a lot in the world and just even if it's like locally in your own circles or just out on the internet, in general is like this desire for in-person connection and, not knowing how to cultivate that or create that, So we wanted to dive into this topic because I'm like having like 5 thoughts right now about like maybe why this is the case. And I was like, as we just started this, I'm like thinking like, since COVID, like how hard it's been to connect since there's all these factors, I guess, like contributing to maybe this disconnect that we all feel. So yeah, we just want to explore that and talk about, our own experience with it and maybe ways to work through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even looking back to like when the iPhones came out, you know what I mean? That's relevant for like our generation of how we started to just get so reliant on digital connection, and that can start to feel so exhausting. Like for both you and I, we do a lot online. So much of our work is online. So much of our like day-to-day life is online, sharing different resources and content and services and all of that. And so it can feel, I know we've both talked off the mic a lot about this topic of like just craving more connection, more community, and actually wanting to like be with people face to face, like sitting in an actual space in a room with people, sharing an experience, being vulnerable, connecting with others. And there's a lot of beauty, I think, in the online space where we do have opportunity to connect in different ways that we've never been able to connect before. But I do think that we lose a lot in that space. So we wanted to just kind of start by talking about a few, like if you're local, this is very relevant for you. And we're going to dive into other stuff too that's relevant to everyone, but just some like local things that we've been thinking about doing. I don't know if you want to start with your
Oh my gosh.
offering.
Yes. So I'm actually like in the process of creating wander and weave walks, which essentially are this, it's this opportunity for women to come together that desire community and are looking for that like more intentional and deeper connection. But to remove the pressure of like making friends or like, oh, like this is like a social obligation. Like you don't have to talk if you don't want to. You get to bring like whatever is present for you and your full self. And like the rough like layout of what this looks like, right, is like a small group of women getting together and going on a like walk / hike locally, of course, in the area. And obviously like this will evolve over time, especially if the interest is greater. But like the whole idea really is to start with an intention, like very intentional connecting walks where we start in circle, we set our intention, and then throughout the walk, we stop and we journal to get like obviously in our own journals, but it's an opportunity to reflect, to connect with the earth deeper and to like connect with women deeper. And in that, right, we will have moments to open up and share and like moments to bring that into the space. And really what it is like the opportunity for, I think a lot of us have these desires to like go do these things, to go on the hike, to go do the thing, to meet someone, to ask someone for coffee. But like as adults, and we will dive into this more, it can like be really daunting, I guess, or like intimidating to like be vulnerable in that way or even to know how to initiate it. And so my intention with this is that like it takes that pressure away. It takes the like social obligation away, and it helps us also like find those like-minded people instead of like, you know, finding the needle in the haystack. And the first one I'm doing, I mean, if you're interested, like, and if you're listening to this and you're interested, please DM the page or DM me personally. The Sessions for the Soul page, because we would love to invite you. The first one I have happening is, oh
I think
gosh.
August 9th.
Well, it was August 9th, but
Oh,
then
is
I
it changing?
remembered I did change it because silly me has an obligation that weekend. So it's August 16th. And I made the event private, the first one, and I did invite a small little circle of women. But if you're interested, like, come join us because of those women. First of all, of course, not everyone will be able to make it. Like, we get it, it's summer. And obviously, like in the winter time around here, this is going to have to evolve a little bit. So I'm sure you and I will figure something out for that. Okay. We'll figure out a way to bring
I'm
this.
a big advocate for investing in a good jacket in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, absolutely. And also, like, there are beautiful, crisp fall days here where it's
Yes.
like sun is shining. Yeah, it's freezing, but like that's what layers are for. And yeah, like there, we will always, our brain will always come up with an excuse for why we can't or the reason not to. But this is like the opportunity to step out of that comfort zone and like, let someone facilitate that for you. And yeah, so that's sort of what Wander and Weave walks are going to be designed to be, and are that's what I'm cultivating right now for a way to start building community outside of social media, Instagram, TikTok, the whole nine. And also like not have the sometimes like when we offer like workshops or ceremony, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it can be a little intimidating. Like,
Mm-hmm.
come do cacao. However, you should always come do cacao. It's amazing. It'll change your life. But that's for another time. So yeah.
I love that so much. I put into our calendar, like Adam and I share a calendar per him. I'm not a super organized person like that, but he's like, I need to know like what's happening in our life. And so I put in forest walk with the girls, and he was like, what? I was like, no, actually, I'm so excited about it because it's like, I love going to like spending time in nature. We have so many like beautiful trails and like opportunities to be in nature around here. And there's such a big part of me as well that's like craving community and connection. And you are like speaking to, like, I am the audience here of like the person with anxiety around like, ugh, there's so much pressure sometimes if you're like going to a workshop or like reaching out to someone or, doing things with a bunch of women who you're not like familiar with, and it can feel really intimidating. And so it feels like such a nice, like low barrier way, low pressure way of just like being in community and being in nature, which is like like two super healing things combined.
Oh my God,
So
I
I'm so
love that.
excited.
Thank you. You're literally my ideal client. Stop. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Like I think I relate to that so much. And that was like the intention with this was like, how do we get more people like face to face and like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, do this? And I really do like crave the connection to be like outside and in nature.
Yes.
And like, I feel like that's been kind of, it's so weird how it ebbs and flows this like really heavily online time versus like this kind of like really heavily in real life time. And finding the balance has been my work
Mm-hmm.
for the last year, just like really trying to find that balance of like, what is the like healthy, where's the where's the like balance in that? Because sometimes what happens is I get too pulled into the online space that
Mm-hmm.
the like nature, the real world, the connecting, the slowing down gets like pushed to the side. And so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love it so much. I'm so excited
Yay. I'm
to
so excited
attend.
too. Yay. And also if you have any suggestions for people I should invite, send them my way.
Yes.
Um,
I
but
think I
yeah.
think this episode will come out at the perfect time
time.
in a couple weeks. So yeah, so you guys, when you hear this, when it first comes out, you'll still have time to attend
Yeah,
the first one. Very excited.
exactly. But yeah, so tell us about what you've got coming up, what you've got
Yeah,
in the
in
works.
the works. So I recently created a hard copy workbook, which is kind of like the catalyst for in my desire to like be more in community, to actually have like more physical presence in people's lives and to connect with people on a face-to-face level. And so that's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks once I finish up all the little edits there. But my desire is to then create a community, like a community of women who are wanting to like work through that workbook together, using it as kind of like a guide. It's all things like nervous system, mental health, emotional health, community, family systems, stuff like that. Um, so creating a space where we can really just like very casually, but with some guidance, be in community together to actually work through those things, because I think there's so much power in being in community and not just like offering this digital product where it's like, okay, now you have it on your phone and now you're going to go stare at a screen or probably not even open the document, and you have no guidance and no inspiration from what other people are gaining from, you know, the experience. And I think I definitely, and I know we've talked about this too, just personally, there's a lot of pressure, I think, these days in the online space to create digital everything. Every product you create needs to be digital. And by the way, somehow those, like, you charge more for those. I don't make it make sense. I don't know. And then also like everything, you know, digital workshops and digital memberships and all of those things, which again, amazing. Like it creates accessibility. It creates an opportunity for people to join who maybe aren't able to join in person. Totally get it. But I feel just like a calling to actually create a physical space to actually be with people. And I was listening to a podcast a few weeks ago. It's the Dr. John Deloney show, and
Yes.
I love it so much. And one of the things that he talked about, I think a caller called in and was talking about like the role of AI in their life, and the conversation kind of went on a little tangent about how we're so reliant on AI and digital everything, and it's pulling us away from what really makes us human, the vulnerability of being human,
Mm,
where now we just type something into ChatGPT or whatever you use for AI and it gives you like a very affirming answer, tells you how amazing you are and your ideas are incredible, and you connect with it. People are like really connecting with it as like using it as a source of friendship or relationship or whatever that looks like, which is very alarming. But it removes like the piece of vulnerability of actually being with people, of actually sitting with people, and that's part of the human experience. And so that really resonated with me, where I was like, oof, I feel like I need to, you know, challenge myself and step out of the online space where it's easy to kind of like hide behind that screen
yeah.
and just put out a bunch of information, versus actually being vulnerable and, you know, getting a little nervous about, you know, doing a forest walk or doing an in-person workshop and delivering the information and connecting with people face to face. And then, you know, you go home and you're like, oh my God, did it go okay? Like
Right.
all of those like very human experiences. So
Yes.
that's something that I'm planning to offer coming up, just like a little 4 week
I
series.
love that.
I'm so excited
I'm
about it.
so excited for you. Honestly, your workbook is beautiful.
Thank you.
And I'm so excited for you just that you like brought this to life and like the inspiration that I think will come from it. And also like how amazing that you know, really like, we're like, you know what, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be vulnerable. And I think it exactly like you said, like that AI perspective is so interesting because I was saying this recently. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was chatting. Oh, so like, no, this is what happened. Let me remember. Um, no, my friend played a song for me and he was like, I want you to listen to this song. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay. And he's like, good, right? Like, what do you think of it? He played two of the songs on the album. The first song, I was like, ooh, that like speaks to my soul. That was so good. Like, the emotion in it.
Mhm.
And then the second one, I was like, yeah, it's still like really good, but like, it was like a little bit more upbeat. And I love a sad song. Is this problematic? Yes. Does it contribute to things in my life? Absolutely. But I love sad music. And I was like, that first song was amazing. And he was like, AI, all of it. And I
Mm.
was, I looked at him and I said, we're fucked. And he was
Mhm.
like, yeah. Isn't that crazy? Because ultimately, like the reason I'm sharing that story is because if the whole essence of being human, right? Like you just said, is that vulnerability, it's connection, and it's also art. It's to create.
Yes.
And if we're like outsourcing that all to computers,
Yeah.
that scares me for like humanity, because if we are disconnected from our art and our ability to create, like, and to really like use our brains in a challenging way and be vulnerable is what it all comes down to. It's
Yeah.
vulnerability. I'm worried for us. I'm very worried, and I'm very worried what the future looks like. And like, yeah, I get it. AI serves a great purpose and it's super helpful in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Girl, I can't spell, like I can't, I need it sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and so there's things that like help, but I think like this workshop that you're creating will be such a great opportunity to just like lean into the human experience, be
Mhm.
vulnerable, and create a space for people to come in and learn and connect. And like you said, like too, what we learn from other women or other people in general when we're in that space is it's so important.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, we can learn online. Obviously,
Yes.
we experience that every day, like in
Yeah.
our work, people learning, people resonating, all of that.
Yeah.
But there's something disconnecting, I guess, or also like, like the subconscious of what's actually happening when we're on an app.
You don't get like the full picture, like the full context of the other human on the other side. Like there's so much like we recorded this, I guess is a good example. We recorded a few episodes apart, our previous few episodes, and there's a disconnect a little bit of like I can tell in person when you're about to talk. I can tell when things are about to shift, and like there's subtle cues that you pick up on in person that you literally cannot pick up on when you're when there's a screen between two people. And so the same thing for when we're just engaging and scrolling on social media or engaging in any sort of online work, which again, it serves a purpose and it's amazing. But when you are solely relying on that as your source of connection, you're missing out on a lot of the cues and the actual like the ability to read each other fully and to get the full context.
No, absolutely. And I think that like the community that comes from like being vulnerable with women in person, and it's so weird because it's like in one way social media and the internet like helps us reach more people and helps us like kind of draw in a bigger community in a way,
Yeah.
but also at the same time there is that disconnection. And it's like sometimes it's like, I think we've talked about this before, like that shouting into the void. and
Yes.
and also like why we started this podcast in the first place, right? Like of
Yeah.
getting to have that, like, sort of like remove the like 5 to 15 seconds of like this is what I'm sharing, or this is who we are, and actually like bring people into our work, our world. And
Yeah.
so that I think is going to be so powerful, and I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to I mean, I obviously need to attend probably. You guys, what? I am deep in reconstruction. I don't know what the word is. I'm in process.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm so excited for you, and I'm so
Yeah.
excited to like be a part of this and see it unfold and
Yeah.
attend. And also like your workbook, like I just cannot emphasize this enough. You guys, buy this workbook. It's like not only is it so aesthetically beautiful,
Yeah.
I'm not even
Thank you.
kidding. It really is. But also like it's so valuable, like everything inside of it, and you like your heart and soul was poured into
Mhm.
this. And so
Yeah.
I think that like comes across in everything that is
Thank
in it.
you.
So oh my
Thank
god,
you.
thank
So
you.
excited. I'm excited for both of us to just like go on this journey of trying to connect deeper with, you know, the actual community that we live in. How can we be of service to the community that we're in? And I think the world needs more of that. Again, amazing for people who want to take like a global approach or a big approach to things, but to be able to actually like focus on the community that you're in, the community that you are surrounded by, I think there's something so powerful in that. One of the things that we wanted to talk about was the social anxiety element to some of this. A few weeks ago, I put on my stories like a little survey for people to take on just getting some input of the workshop series, and had an opportunity for people to write like any preferences or you know, questions, comments, concerns, things like that. And several people wrote in and were like, I have a lot of social anxiety. Like, can it be like constructed in a way that is sensitive to that? And I just want to recognize, like, same.
Yeah.
Like, I think so many people experience social anxiety, and that's part of the barrier and the comfort of just being like, I'm not going to go on this walk, or I'm not going to go, you know, to this workshop or be in community, or, you know, ask this person to go out to coffee or whatever it is, because there's so much like our brain starts to get in the way of like, oh, but what if this happens, or what if this person shows up, or what if I say the wrong thing, or whatever it may be. Like all the what ifs start pouring in, and it creates a huge barrier and prevents you from like actually making connections.
Absolutely. And, you know, as you were saying that, I'm thinking about too, like maybe when we're in difficult seasons or we're having a hard time and we have this like story as well about how like it's going to be so hard. I'm going to have to talk about the thing. I'm going to have to like be vulnerable in that way, or like I just don't want to see anyone in this season of life or whatever it is. And I invite everyone to recognize that like that's exactly the season you actually need community in. And I know it like feels counterintuitive because the call to like go inward, cocoon, disconnect can come up like really hardcore in that. But like what's more uncomfortable, like sitting in your silence and like spiraling, or like going and connecting and getting out and being in the real world, like,
Yeah.
you know, really sitting with those, because ultimately at the end of the day, like we are hardwired for that connection.
Yeah.
And this like concept of fear that like comes with social anxiety and comes with like connecting outside of like what's comfortable in our comfort zones, it's so real, but it's so like it's something that like the more we like just step into and like actually be brave
Mm-hmm.
and dare greatly, as Brene Brown would say,
Mm-hmm.
like the results. And yeah, sometimes I might be like, oh, okay, well, that connection wasn't for me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That can happen, totally acknowledging that. But I think what we find more often is like that was really nourishing in a way. And like maybe, yeah, like I need to go home and replenish my social battery now because I'm an introvert or whatever. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Totally respect that. I'm an introvert as well. So I totally get that. But you're never gonna like know, right? And you're never gonna like find those things. I always used to say this. When I'd be like, oh, I haven't met the love of my life yet. And I'd be like, I haven't left the house for a year and a half. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for him to break into my home.
Yeah.
So like, are you waiting?
Highly unlikely.
I'm waiting for the love of my life to literally burglarize my home.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is like if you're waiting for like friendship or community or like that opportunity to like appear in your lap,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. It's not going to. We have to be vulnerable. We have to put
Yeah.
ourselves out there. And I think in a way we all kind of have social anxiety, especially in the digital age, or at least we all do in this room, except for
Yes.
Burke. But cause girl, same, like, oh my God. But I also think how it expresses itself can be so different for everybody, you know?
Yes, I always think that's so fascinating. For me, I tend to get like really quiet, a lot more reserved. I'm just like trying to observe and kind of like feel out the situation. And I know there are people in my life who respond the exact opposite, where they become very lively and very full in their personality. And yeah,
That's me.
and that like that sometimes I think people are like, oh, you're so extroverted. And that's not always the case. Sometimes that's like, oh, that's like a social anxiety cue, you know?
110% my whole life. Everybody's been like, you're such an extrovert. You're so energized. I am putting on a show because if I don't, you're going to like see me as a person and
Yeah.
then I'm going to feel exposed and vulnerable. And so
Yeah.
that's why like, yeah, I do exactly what you just described. Like I'm a great fake it till you make it, like is my survival mechanism. And but like on the inside and also you can see on the outside as well, I sweat so much because my nervous system is like,
Yeah.
ah, I
Yeah.
can't do it. Like, oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Yes, 100%. So, yeah, I think we want to kind of share too in that like some ways to like take on social anxiety and how to like work through that. And I think the first one is just like start small.
Hmm.
Like I mean, I we are going to use this reference I feel like a million times, but it's even as like how you and I reinitiated like being friends. Like
Yeah.
it was a small step of like let's get coffee. And we both, I'm sure, were like, I mean, I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was literally like, ugh, I'm gonna throw up. And not because of you, because of like,
Yeah.
I was like, ew, I have to take myself to this coffee date.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I was feeling really insecure at the time and really vulnerable. And um it was just like a small step. It's like, okay, what is a cup of coffee gonna do?
Yeah.
And you guys, it's been so nourishing. Oh my
Same.
God.
I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. Yeah. I think just finding a person, whether it be like rekindling an old friendship that you are desiring to rekindle or are like craving that connection again, or finding people in your community who you're like, oh, this seems like someone that I might be interested in connecting with or getting to know a little bit better. And sometimes that means like putting yourself in social situations where you're surrounded by people like that. And that's like the dating pool comes to mind too for me, where it's like, oh, so easy to just like rely on dating apps, for example. But if you put yourself in physical spaces, physical environments of people, like let's say you're into someone who's like really healthy and fit and values like their health and wellness, going to an actual gym could be helpful. Going
Yes.
to, the yoga studio and finding some of the guys who go, like, there's places that you can put yourself in where you're going to be surrounded by people who are more likely to like match whatever it is that you're interested in. And that's the same with friendship as well. Like, if you're interested in, gaining relationships or friendships that check off certain boxes of interest in your life, put yourself in those spaces and then do the really scary thing of actually speaking up. And like you mentioned before we started, of like, we used to just, as kids be like, do you want to be my friend?
Oh my gosh. Literally, it is like it's so many thoughts I'm having right now because that's such a good point about like the first of all, just the like dating pool or like the friend making pool. I love that you brought that up because I feel like it's another way we're like relying on the technology to like do the hard work for us. And y'all, I don't know who's been on the apps, but like I've been on there. It's been a long time since I've been on there. And I'm here to tell you, wow, it was very disconnecting and a little dark at times.
Yeah.
Because it's like at the end of the day, it's an algorithm. And you don't pick up on the things you pick up on in person, like you
Mm-hmm.
had mentioned, earlier when talking about like doing an in-person workshop, like, and I think it comes down to values because you can look at someone's picture and be like, ooh, he's cute. Ooh, she's cute.
Yeah.
Ooh, they're cute. But are you able to like pick up on their energy or like understand like do we actually like mesh, get along? And like, yes, I know that's what like going on the date is for, but like, I have such mixed emotions about that because it's like, um, I've totally seen it work for some people, but it's not it I definitely relate to the desire to like go put yourself in the situation of like places you value and you
Mm-hmm.
desire to be in or the type of community you're desiring to create and like being brave and being like, girl, ask whoever to go get a cup of coffee. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
do you want to like get together sometime? It can be as simple as that, you know? And like you said, you know, as before we started this talking about like when you're a little kid and how you know, like I remember being little and being at the grocery store and if there was like a kid in line with their mom in front of my mom and I would literally just be like, "What's your name?"
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, cool. How old are you?" And just like start interrogating them, which
Yeah.
honestly that's wild. But
Mm-hmm.
also like I made friends that way. And even like you and I think like really became friends in a very similar fashion of just like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
obviously there was some confrontation involved. We don't need to unpack that right now. But that was a me issue. I've always had a little bit of a defensive side. And but then it led to like, do you want to go do this together? And it was like, yeah. And we found we got along really well. By the way, this was at like 3 years old. And it just continued from there. But it's the same concept of how like this desire for community and connection is kind of part of our inner child and
Mm-hmm.
how we can really channel that like young inner being who was like not thinking like they probably don't want to, they probably have too much going on, they're going to think I'm weird, like whatever the story is.
Yeah.
Our inner child didn't have that story yet.
Yeah.
Our child, like when we were kids, we didn't write that story yet. Obviously we wrote it through some of those experiences, but
Mm-hmm.
um it's about, you know, it's about like kind of just channeling that playful side that's like, okay, so I might get told no, or I might, this person might not like be open to it. That has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I'm ever going to know is to try. And so maybe I'm not going to say, like, do you want to go? We're going to, like I said before when we were talking about it before this, it's like, yeah, you trade this. Like, do you want to go swing at recess for like, do you want to go grab a cup of coffee after this? Or
Yeah.
are you free later this week or whatever? And so, um, kind of that's a way I think to like, to actually like approach this concept and like actually go out in the world and try
Mm-hmm.
to make some friends.
Yeah, I think and being able to also share, like, if you are nervous about it, sometimes it can just be helpful to say that. Like, do you want to go to coffee? And then you show up and you're like, hey, I'm actually like, I'm kind of nervous about being here. Like, I just get a lot of social anxiety, or like, this is just new for me, but I'm really trying to put myself out there. So, like, the whole name it to tame it, right? Of like,
Absolutely.
just put it out there because the other person's probably nervous too. And so
Uh,
if you just like both put it on the table and then you're like, okay, let's laugh about it, exhale, now we can like actually be normal humans together.
100%. You know what? This reminds me of when I was in Wales back in February.
Mm-hmm.
Was that February? I think
Mm-hmm.
so. Um, I was sitting in a coffee shop and I went to I like found my like coffee shop. I was in a smaller town. So I like found the coffee shop I liked going to. And I was there like every day because I was working while I was gone. We were actually working on our first like
Mm-hmm.
uh coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like doing that every day. And one day I was there on a Saturday and this boy walked by me. Oh my gosh, so cute, so sweet. He walked by me and he was like, it was actually so great and so awkward. He was like, "Can you hold my dog while I use the toilet?" British people, Welsh people say toilet instead of bathroom. It's a strange thing. I'll never get over it. Because as an American, I'm like, don't say that word. It's gross.
Yeah,
I
true.
it's like such a weird thing
Yeah.
to say. But so he was like, "Can you hold my dog? I have to use the toilet." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." Holding his dog, whatever comes out, grabs the dog, says, "Thank you so much," starts to walk away, stops, is like,
Mm.
"Actually, can I please ask for your number? I've seen you in here for the last couple of weeks and I've been wanting to ask you, but I've been really afraid." And I was like,
That's the
"Yeah."
most romantic thing I've ever
It
heard.
was really cute, honestly. And I was like, absolutely, you can have my number. And he was like, I'm so nervous. I'm shaking. And I was like, you don't need to be nervous. Like, it's okay. I don't, it's going to be okay. We're good. And I
Yeah.
was like, here's my number. And we went on a few dates and it was so cute and so lovely. And he's actually so amazing. And we're really good friends now. Obviously, it didn't work out because I literally don't live in Aberystwyth, Wales.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
Water under the bridge, but like I'm not even kidding. We are still like we're still friends. We still chat and um it just reminded me of like what you were saying because he literally was just like, "Oh my gosh, I have," and come to find out actually he had tried to ask me two other times. Like
Mm-hmm.
when he had seen me in there but he got too scared.
Mm-hmm.
So, like just normalizing that like we all experience this and it's like when you are brave or when you just like do it despite the fear, despite the nerves, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the payoff is probably going to be pretty nice. And that, like, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, or just even like showing yourself the evidence that, like, I can do this,
Yeah.
that's huge payoff.
Yeah. Getting those, again, like those little wins on the board of if you're able to put yourself in a vulnerable position, like this guy saying, "Hey, can I have your number?" That's scary. That's vulnerable
Yeah.
because he's risking being told no.
Right.
And so, but being met with like, yeah, let's go to coffee, or yeah, here's my number, or whatever it is, and that's a win. Like that's getting a win on the board. And even if you get rejected, it's getting a win on the board by just asking,
Yeah.
by like actually just putting it out there and saying like, hey, this is something I'm interested in.
Absolutely.
It's worth it.
It is worth it. It is really seriously worth it. And I think like we can get so trapped in the like mental stories we have about ourselves or like the past or our pain. And I think it's so important to just remind ourselves like we don't need to unpack and live in this space and to just like recognize like what is the most important and valuable parts of the human experience to you personally. And if it is like that desire for community and connection and depth and shared experience, like then the only way you're going to really get that and like
Mm-hmm.
have it be more than the surface level that the internet can offer. And I'm not saying depth can't come from the internet because it obviously can. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're reaching all of you on the internet in some fashion or another.
Mm-hmm.
But there is like something so beautiful, like Kayla mentioned at the beginning of this, of like just being in the same room and picking
Mm-hmm.
up on the cues of like the human body and the subtle cues of like our facial expressions and our hearts, like our auras literally touching because we're in the same space as
Yeah.
opposed to just like how technology kind of distorts all of that. So I think it's really like worth it. And um I think like talking about too like what actually like is valuable in community as women in the digital age is really important because we are actually like women are community based and have been for since the dawn of time. um and actually what's more modern, it's like more modern to be like the singular individual holding a whole entire household together and doing it all, not having the
It's insane.
village. It's
Yeah.
insane. And
Yeah.
it's really depressing
Mm-hmm.
and it's isolating and we won't go down this rabbit hole
Mm-hmm.
because we're probably going to be making recovery in the next few episodes. By the time this comes out, you'll have seen the backlash of what's on the internet right now. But I'm just kidding. But am I? But it's by design in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very intentional that women are disconnected. Um, and some of those like intentional isolations um and we like are in a place and in a world where we don't have to do that anymore.
We don't. Yeah, I think, and by the way, just to backtrack for a minute, when I say it's insane, I'm not talking about like you are insane if you have, a lack of community or trying to just like do it on your own. Totally get it. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, have become super isolated. For a number of reasons, and it's hard to find community sometimes. Life gets really busy. You're just trying to hustle and like pay the bills and take care of your kids and all of that. So, totally get it. What I mean is that it's really, really hard to do that. And so it just feels like, um, I think it would be really easy to just feel like so depleted and burnt out when you're just trying to do life on your own. Like, we're not meant to do life on our own. And so being able to be surrounded by women who are able to help carry the load or share the load or offer encouragement or support or a lightheartedness or whatever it is, more life experience, like that is so, so valuable. And in order to do that, you have to put yourself in those positions that are kind of uncomfortable of like, hey, can we do a little play date with our kids? Or hey, can we go to coffee? I just need to like get out of the house and connect with someone for a minute. um, those are super valuable things that I think a lot of us, again, just fall into the comfort of hiding behind our screens. And it's
Mm-hmm.
doing so much harm. I was thinking the other night, I forget what I was doing, but it was probably like 7 or 8 at night. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, good. I have like a couple hours to just like relax. And then in my mind, I was like, wait, I'm thinking about just scrolling. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. And that's so weird that that is the way that we think about relaxing, is literally watching other people's lives online instead of being like, no, but my husband's here and I'm going to connect with him instead. Or I have an opportunity to like roll out my yoga mat and, connect with myself, or whatever that looks like. And so I think just noticing the patterns and the desire of like, this is how I'm utilizing my free time, or this is how I'm utilizing social media or my phone. This is the role it's playing in my life. How can I, yes, still use it in a way that's going to like, you know, it's part of our life. It's part of our
Yeah.
life at this point. So figuring out a way to like utilize it with some boundaries and some like rules around it, whatever that looks like for you, but to also, connect with real people in your life.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on something so important. I've been noticing this in myself recently is like I'm moving through some really uncomfortable, painful, like I'm grieving right now. I'm in a season of grief. And like last night, I I like was probably on my phone like most of the day yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And was it for intentional purposes? No. Like I
Mm-hmm.
got my work done, which yes is on social media. And then after that, I every time I was like left with myself, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like I just did not want to sit in it. And so I picked up my phone and I started scrolling. And then, oh my gosh, I'm sure everyone can relate to this in some degree. Isn't it great how the algorithm like just puts shit that you're going through right there for you whenever you're going through it to just like really like
Mm-hmm.
keep you scrolling. And so everything I was doing was like actually not making me feel better at all, even though there was like the dopamine and the distraction. It was
Mm-hmm.
actually just pulling me more into
Mm-hmm.
this place. And so there was this moment at like later in the evening, early evening, where I was with my mom and I was like, do you want to go for a drive or a walk with me? I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get out of this space. I need to go move my body. And she was like, why don't we go for a walk for that bilateral movement to process? And I was like, okay, let's go for a walk. So we went for a walk. And like, that actually was so beautiful because one, I, I wasn't doing anything intentionally on my phone.
Yeah.
I was 100% using it to disconnect, distract, like be withdrawn. And it actually was just kind of like dredging up the pain and keeping me stuck in this mindset of like, like victimy, like panicky, like
Mm-hmm.
just feeling really insecure and unwell instead of like actually doing anything to help me move forward healthy to process, you know what I mean? And so I think that that's such an important like part of this too, is like noticing, like you said, how we're spending our free time and like what's the intention.
Yeah.
And recently I've been working with someone a little bit on just like the role is that social media plays in my work and in my life and how to refine it for like what I want to do long term. And she really mentioned the other day when we were chatting, she was like, do you intentionally scroll? Like, what are you doing on social media when you're on there on your own? Like, because I have shared, and like you and I have talked about this, the burnout of social media, like the burnout of like always being on an app and always like doing these things and
Yeah.
having it all the time. And she was like, you know, what do you do when you're on there? And like, is it with intention? Is it to go like learn something? Is it to go like find something that's inspiring? Is it to go and like, get data for your own business to see like what's working, what's not working, like what's getting views, what's not? Or is it literally just to like disconnect and doom scroll? And I was like, oh, I am not intentionally getting on that app at all, on any apps. And
Mhm.
to recognize that and notice the role that it's playing and how like there are things that I have on my like, oh, I really want to do this, whether that's like take time to intentionally journal. Like you said, like, oh, I could pull my yoga mat out and stretch and like actually connect with my body, connect with myself.
Yeah.
I have books I want to read, like things like that, right? Like
Yeah.
to where the free time can be spent like actually doing that, sparking thought, sparking like inspiration, cultivating something greater.
Mhm.
And I think like, you know, what you touched on is like so relevant to all of that because it is like, okay, so is this actually like feeding the desires that I have, or is it just another like adult pacifier,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, I personally, for my own social media boundaries, I've definitely used that too of like, am I using my phone with intention? And sometimes I initially do that where I'm like, oh, I'm looking for like some inspiration for some like what's trending right now so I can hop on any trends or like inspiration for different concepts. And then I find myself slowly starting to just scroll without intention. And so trying to catch myself in that. But also I use the Opal app which is not sponsored, but maybe.
Maybe sponsor us.
Maybe we'll get sponsored. Who knows? But the Opal app is super helpful and it's free. And I'm sure, so many apps out there that offer like actual boundaries around phone use in general of like the time limits that you want to set for different apps that you're spending more time on. Because maybe you're listening and you're like, I don't actually use social media that much, but I scroll this other thing, or I'm like always on these websites shopping, or like whatever it is for you in your personal outlet. Being able to like actually put some hard boundaries and some blocks on there so that you're not just like mindlessly passing time, and then at the end of your day you're like, oh my god, my screen time. And by the way, if you don't have your screen time notifications on your phone, you should get those because that's alarming.
Oh my gosh, it will actually make you like, ooh, there have been times like I actually turned mine off when I started running social media accounts for other businesses for a while because like genuinely it would be like you spent 6 hours on social media today and I would be like upset because I was like but I worked all day and
Yeah.
like realizing that that was like a mind fuck kind of.
Yeah.
So I did turn it off for a while, but I've turned it back on and yesterday was a really bad day, you guys. Okay.
Yeah.
It was not great. But um I think like I, when you were talking about that, I was thinking about I follow this page. Could be controversial, could be problematic. He's called Carnivore Aurelius, and I love him. Actually, unrelated but related. I've slid into his DMs so many times, and he's DM'd me back a few times. We've talked, and I asked him on a date like 3 years ago. I was like, I don't know what this man looks like. No one does. I know what the back of his head looks like at this point. But if you ever hear this, CA, I'm your girl, okay? Like let's homestead, let's do this. I'm kidding. But um
I love it.
I have slid into his DMs. And the other day I slid into his DMs. He hasn't replied yet, but he will. I sent him 2 voice notes as well. So I actually look crazy. But that's fine. And he listened to them.
I
So
love
that's
it.
terrible. No, I don't know what I said. It was probably pretty bad. And I was reminded the other day when I DM'd him about something.
Oh no.
And I was like, what did I say? I probably was like, you, me, let's have a baby. Like something crazy, knowing me. Anyway, but he actually had a reel the other day talking about how many summers you have left in your life. And he did the equation of like how much on average we work, how much on average like we spend sleeping, how how much time on average we, are doing X, Y, and Z, like cleaning the house, doing like these other mundane things, whatever.
Mhm.
Okay, so he broke it down. He added up all the hours. Like obviously, you guys, I'm not a mathematician. Okay, I don't know. Don't ask. But okay, he said if you're 30, you have 9 years, like 9 good summers left. You have like 9 summers left,
Mm,
really, of like time spent, like free time, essentially.
mm-hmm.
It equates to like 9 years
Mm.
of like all the time we're not doing
All the other things
all
in
the other
life.
things,
Yeah.
sleeping, whatever. And that like made me seriously pause and think like I only have that much time left to like actually cultivate things that matter to me, to like make an impact um in community on this earth, like to achieve or nurture the things that are important to me and
Yeah.
cultivate like a certain type of life. And when we like look at it in that perspective, or when you look at how many hours a day like you're scrolling or on your phone, like
Yeah.
that that contributes to like the reality check I think a lot of us need, of like, hey, wait,
Yeah.
is this like, what am I doing? Is this serving me, or is this like another form of like disassociation, disconnection,
Yeah.
etc.? And um like that kind of reminds me too of how, like when you were talking about that, I was thinking about games, people playing games on their phone,
Mm,
which like
hmm.
I've never really done.
Me either, but I know a lot of people do.
No,
Yeah.
same. Yeah, like recently my parents, they're like in this war on this like block blaster game, and it's so cute and whatever, like they're older, but that's fine. But I was kind of like, wow, I've never thought to like download a game on my phone since high school. Maybe like in high school I feel like
Sure. Yeah.
there was that game we would play in like middle school or high school, the word game where you'd like draw a picture, guess the word, like I don't even
Yeah.
remember what it was called,
Yeah.
but very briefly remember playing that. um but that's like, even though you're not on an app necessarily, or like intentionally like, or you're not, doing whatever shopping or whatever the thing is, like that's another source of like an energy like
Hmm.
drain, which like I feel like has kind of come up a couple times when we've been
Yeah.
talking in the last few episodes of energy drains versus energy gains, what those are, how they
Hmm.
nurture us and how they feed us.
Yeah.
And you know unintentional technology use, even though it might feel fulfilling in a moment, I think I have a really hard time believing it's not an energy drain for everyone.
I think being able to look at your value system can sometimes be helpful too, of what are the like true core values that I have within my life. You can do that on an individual level. If you're in a relationship with someone, or if you have like a family with kids, you can create like family values as well, and just coming up with a few core values within your life, and then assessing your life and being like, how am I either living in alignment or out of alignment with these values? And for most people, I think the amount of time that we spend on digital platforms versus actually connecting with real people, actually having these like real life experiences of like going out and trying new things, putting yourself in positions that feel maybe unfamiliar or vulnerable, whatever that looks like for you. We need to do more of that. Like we need to do more of just getting really clear on our values and looking at our life and understanding like how is this lining up?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not lining up, what do I need to do to start making it like shift in that direction, even if it's just a little bit more. Like
Yeah.
start small. I think that's a really important message for people to hear, is like if you're deep into being out of alignment, sometimes it can be helpful just to start small, getting those wins on the board, and just start building. You build like the confidence, the self esteem throughout the process. And over time, it'll compound, and you'll find yourself, months down the road being like, oh, this feels so much better. Like I feel like I'm living in alignment with what I truly see and want for my life.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that you said that. And I think that that's just it. Like, that's the key to it all. And something that's like coming to mind too is like cultivating like community and connection in our real lives, um, is what's like, is sort of the anecdote for some of the more social issues we're facing in the world today.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't want to go down this path, but I am going to go down this path a tiny bit just like to mention like, we get online and there's a lot of divisive content. There's a lot
Mhm.
of information, there's a lot of stuff that like actually keeps us all divided. And when we put down our phones and we get off the social media, we get out of the posts, we stop reading the comments on the thing that's like making us red hot
Mhm.
and, you know, has people fighting and being, we were talking about this, like how people will just say whatever on the internet, be like essentially bullies. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
matter what age you're at, like people are just so shitty.
Yeah.
Um, that like community in real life is actually like how we dismantle that and how we kind of we get past this like phase that we're in as humanity that's super divided and super separate and super what's the word, like we're kind of disconnected from each other right now. And community, like you change one life, like changing one life is changing the world. Making an impact in one life is literally changing the world, because it's like the butterfly effect or whatever of that,
Mhm.
like the ripple effect of that.
Yeah.
And when you were kind of talking about like those values and those things, it's like somebody doesn't have to have the exact same opinion as you to still have the same values and share the same
Yep.
like desire, right? And I think that's really important to mention when we're talking about this desire for community and connection, when like the messaging in the world is that like people who don't have the same thoughts as me or the same ideas or beliefs as me are the enemy, or maybe like I can't find community because like I live in a place where like the majority of people believe X, Y, and Z and I believe,
Mhm.
you know, A, B, and C, and there's no like right or wrong in that, because guess what, like that is literally the human experience.
Yeah, when you start connecting with real people in real life, you start learning that a lot of people live in the gray and the nuance, in the in between space, in the middle. And some of you might just be interpreting this as like from a political standpoint. And yes, that, but also medical, religious beliefs, how you parent your kids, how you show up in your marriage, the jobs that you have, how you spend your money. Like
Your
there's,
work life balance,
yes,
all of it,
there's divisiveness in
everywhere.
all of it, in all categories of life. And when you only see it online, you start to think like, oh my gosh, okay, what box do I fit in?
Yes.
And you start having that black and white thinking. But when you actually sit down with a friend and have coffee or invite them over to your house and you actually have real life human connection and communication, you start learning like most people live in the gray. Most people are able to have hard conversations or to be like, yeah, we disagree on that, but like, you're a good human, I'm a good human. We connect in these other ways.
Right.
And that's okay. And so I think we're missing out on a lot of that because so many of us have gotten just really comfortable being, in that black and white space, or the black and white space that's being um, displayed online. And so this is just a call to action to like
Yeah.
be in community and to actually put yourself out there in vulnerable positions and to connect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a call to action. And, you know, um, it's also a call to like compassion, I feel like, because
Yeah.
like you said, like it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's like, oh, I eat this way because I have allergies. Well, that makes me really uncomfortable because I eat however I want. And like, I feel like
Yeah.
you're attacking me by how you eat and I eat this way. Like, I've dealt with that a lot in my family. Just because people are like, so like, oh, you can't have one,
Mm-hmm.
you know, glass of milk. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, do you want to sit next to me after I have that glass of milk and I literally am sick? Like,
Yeah.
no. And it's like also like no one cares what's in your cup.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what's in your cup, just like I
Mm-hmm.
hope, we can like all respect each other enough to not care like what's in mine. And I think that like what I mean by that, it's like, oh, I don't care what's in your cup. It can come off like dismissive. That's not it. It's very much a place of like, whatever's good for you, that's great. And
Mm-hmm.
I when we're coming from a place of love, it's like that's great. I love that for you, and for me,
Yeah.
I see it differently. And I think you and I were like having this conversation a while ago, just like in our own lives, off of off the mic. That's our new,
Yeah.
we're using that now. Off the mic, we were talking, but about how like it's actually so like you and I disagree on things. I'm sure there's things that
Mhm.
like people disagree on and can still like have deep love for each other and still like want to cultivate a relationship. And it's like, I'm not going to let that mean something about the person or like the relationship we have
Yeah.
just because we don't see something the same. If
Nobody is gonna see everything eye to eye.
no, I don't care if it's your husband, your
Yep.
child, your best friend, sisters, like whatever it looks like, there is things that people don't see the same, and that is like literally the human experience.
Yeah.
And just the call to compassion, and that like someone can disagree and that doesn't mean anything about me and it doesn't mean anything about them, and I can still be compassionate, have love for them, and want to cultivate,
Yeah.
you know, these things. And yeah, I know that girl, I was nervous when that entered my brain. I was like, oh no, here we go. We've, you know,
I think we handled it well.
I think we did too. Yeah.
Nothing too controversial in this one. Do you have anything else on community?
I don't think so. I think like really like, you know, you guys just be brave.
And attend the Wander and Weave Walk and my workshop
Absolutely.
and
That's the message.
ask the person to coffee or
Yeah.
on a date or whatever.
And get clear on, you know, what's draining your time and what's helping you gain energy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a great place for us to end.
Amazing. Well, just a reminder, make sure you are following us and subscribing on all of our socials and YouTube. Um, we'll put it in the show notes below on where you can do that. And
Yes.
we will see you guys for the next episode.